hopefully I got people watching this video because some of y'all got me a little bit nervous just from the past few days, looking at some of these grades that I'm seeing, maybe looking at certain questions that are being missed on Fan 5, or just looking at multiplicative comparison questions or assignments and seeing the scores on those. So I really hope that people are watching these videos because I really do think they're beneficial. I think they give you a great strategy on how to solve these. And guys, you were here last week when we started, and I told you multiplicative comparisons are a beast. They are not easy. And of course, yes, it gets a little bit easier if you know your multiplication facts, but you still have to know what the question is asking for. And you still got to take the time to read these questions. And that's one thing I'm noticing a bunch of. We're doing great math and not reading what the question is asking. So we're going to look at another different kind of multiplicative comparison today. And this will be the fourth different type because we've gotten some, let's see, we've gotten them where we've gotten the large number. We had to figure out the small number. We've gotten some where we've had the small number, but we had to figure out the large number. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I think it was yesterday, we had to figure out how many times as many, so it gave us the big and the small. Today is where we know the total. Luckily for you, you've seen this in Fantastic 5 for like 9 days now. It was there last week, it's here this week. The only problem is still struggling a little bit with this one, number 1 on Fan 5. So I guess it's a good thing that we're taking the time to look at these. So with today's questions, we know the total. And we might have a big number or a small number, but we definitely know what the two numbers are combined. So I'm going to do this very similarly to how yesterday's video was. I'll do 3 questions, kind of give you a chance to look at it, and then I'll pause it, give you a chance to do 2. Let me make sure that's what I had set up. Because your sheet does have similar questions. 4 was, am I looking at the right thing? That's 3, 4, I'll just have to change it, but that's fine. So yeah, I'll do 3, and then we'll have 2 where I kind of want you to pause, solve, and then watch. So these should look super familiar from doing the Fantastic 5 and hopefully watching those videos. So number 1 says, Jamie has 8 times as many baseball cards as Rick. 8 times as many shows us that we're doing that multiplicative comparison. Together, they have 45 baseball cards. The question is asking how many cards does Jamie have? So as soon as we saw 8 times as many, oops, get out of here, Mr. Huber. As soon as we saw 8 times as many, we should have thought about our box method because we are comparing 2 things here. We're comparing Jamie's baseball cards to Rick's baseball cards. Now, since it says Jamie has 8 times as many, Jamie's going to get those 8 boxes, and Rick will automatically get 1. So now the only other piece of information it gave us is that together they have 45 baseball cards. So not just Jamie, not just Rick, both of them. That's where we put that bracket. They're all equal to 45. This is where the question is pretty similar to everything else. I've got to take those 45 baseball cards and I got to split them up between those boxes. Now in this case, I'm not just splitting them between Jamie's. I've got to include Jamie and Rick. So I got to split them between all the boxes, which in this case we have 9. So if I do 45 divided by 9, I know my facts. That would be 5, which means they're going to be 5 in every single box. This part just comes down to who's reading the question, who's putting their stars. It says, how many cards does Jamie have? So if you're somebody who puts 5 as your answer on this one, that means you did great math, but you didn't read. Guys, I just got to look right here. I could add all those up. I could skip count. I could multiply. Either way, it would have been 40. So like I said, that should look super familiar just with what we've been doing in Fantastic 5. All right, so let's look at another one, number 2. It says Evan's dog weighs 7 times as much as Oscar's dog. 7 times as much is the same thing as 7 times as many. So I'm instantly thinking multiplicative comparisons. Together, the dogs weigh 48 pounds. How much does Evan's dog weigh? So I'm going to pull my two things out that I'm comparing. I've got Evan's dog. I've got Oscar's dog. And since it says Evan's dog weighs 7 times as much, Evan's going to get the 7 boxes. I'm actually filming today. But you're fine. You're fine. You're good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should be 7. And Oscar automatically gets the 1. All right. Pulling out the only other piece of information that it gives me, it says together, so that's my bracket, the dogs weigh 48 pounds. Since I got to split those between all the boxes, because those 48 pounds represent both dogs, I got to do 48 divided by 8, since there's 8 boxes. If you know your facts, if you know your multiplication, 48 divided by 8 is going to give you 6. That's not a 6. That's a 6, which means I'm going to put 6 pounds in all of those boxes. So again, who's going to read these questions carefully? Who's going to put their stars? Question wants to know how much does Evan's dog weigh? So he's got the star. Again, you could add them all up. You could do skip count by 6s, which probably wouldn't be logical, or you can do 6 times 7. Either way you do it, that one would give you Evan's dog weighing 42 pounds. So number 1 and number 2 are very similar, and very similar to number 1 that we've done on Fantastic 5. All right, number 3, last one I want to do, and then I want to give you a chance to solve some. It says, at the dog show, there are 7 times as many, box method, 7 times as many boxers as spaniels. If there are a total of 32 dogs, how many dogs are spaniels? So I'm comparing my number of boxers and spaniels. I know there are 7 times as many boxers. 1, 2. So if they got 7 boxes, spaniels automatically get 1. And that 32 represents the total. It represents all of them. So that's going to be my bracket. All of those boxes are going to be equal to 32 dogs. But now I've got to take those 32 dogs and split them between all the boxes. If you count how many boxes you have 8 total. And if you know your facts, 32 divided by 8 would give you 4. Which means there's going to be 4 dogs in each box. If you read the question, put your star. You know I'm asking for spaniels. This one's different than 1 and 2. For 1 and 2, you were looking for the big number. For this one, you were asking for the small number. And if it wants to know how many dogs are spaniels, you've got it right there. That answer should be 4. So, the only reason I think you might feel a little bit more comfortable with these is because we've been doing these the longest. We've done these longer than any other type of multiplicative comparison. But then again, I say that, and the reason we've done them the longest is because we've had to put them in Fan 5 2 weeks ago because we've struggled with it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess. Let me change these numbers real quick. Let's do 42, and let's do... All right, so here for 4 and 5, these are the 2 that I want you to do. I want you to pause once I read it, solve it, press play, come back, and see if your answer matches mine. You should know by now, you do not have to do the box method. You guys might know your multiplication well enough to where you can look at this question and you can say, I know exactly what my answer is going to be here. But guys, if you're missing questions and not using the box method, I'm going to tell you, you should probably be using it. And really doing that box method doesn't take you that much longer. But again, it's not a required way to do it. It's just a good strategy if you need one. All right, so once I read this, pause, solve, come back. Ben saw 5 times as many robins as cardinals while bird watching. He saw a total of 42 birds. How many more robins did he see than cardinals? So I see 5 times as many. I know that I'm comparing the number of robins and cardinals that I saw, so I'll pull them out. And since it said 5 times as many robins, robins gets 5 boxes. Cardinals would then get 1. The only other piece of information it gave me was that he saw a total of 42 birds. That means together, so I'm going to put that bracket. All of those boxes are going to be equal to 42 birds. But since that 42 represents all those boxes, I've got to split those birds between the 6 boxes. If you know your facts, 42 divided by 6, that would give you 7 in each box. And the question says, how many more robins did he see than cardinals? I really don't like how that one's worded. I didn't want that to be the question. It should just say how many robins did he see, but we'll answer both of them. If I wanted to know just how many robins he saw, you could have done 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. You could have done 7 times 5, and you would have gotten 35. That would be how many robins he saw, which is really how I should have worded it. I worded it not a way that I wanted to. But if you really read that carefully and it said how many more robins did he see than cardinals, well, if you knew there was 35 robins and 7 cardinals, you should have seen the words how many more and knew you had to subtract, and that answer would be 28. Really, right there, I was just looking for the 35 robins, but that was my fault. I shouldn't have worded it that way. Might be a really good question of the day, though, now that I think about that. So if your picture matched that, or if you did it a way where you knew there were 35 robins, obviously that's what we're looking for. If you did the box method, awesome. I love that. For the last one, this one is actually worded correctly. It says Maria's dog weighs 2 times as much as her rabbit. Together, the pets weigh 15 pounds. What does Maria's dog weigh? So I see 2 times as much. I know I'm comparing the dog to the rabbit. Pull them out. And since it says the dog weighs 2 times as much, the dog gets 2 boxes. And the rabbit gets 1. The only other number that it gave me was that together the pets weigh 15 pounds. Together means I'm going to put that bracket. It's equal to 15, but not just the dog, not just the rabbit. All 3 boxes, are equal to 15. So I would split those 15 pounds between the 3 boxes. If you know your facts, you know that means there's going to be 5 in each box. And when you look at the question, it wants to know what does Maria's dog weigh. So I don't even care about the rabbit, only the dog. You can go 5 plus 5, 5 times 2, and that would give you 10. So I feel pretty good about those. Hopefully you feel the same. The only thing that I will say is I've only had a couple people who have reached out to me and asked for additional help, which is awesome. I was able to Zoom with them. We were able to go through a couple of questions, and I think it helped. So guys, if you're struggling, shoot me an email. If you want to Zoom, let's do that. I want you guys to make sure you're as comfortable and obviously as successful as you can be with this stuff. So this little review video should help you with your assignment, which I think is 8 questions. If you don't feel comfortable answering some of them, don't submit it. Email me. We'll set up a time where we can go through them, and we can do some of it together. I want you guys to make sure you feel comfortable doing that. Don't sit and not ask for help. That's kind of my job. All right, so hopefully this video helped. I'm hoping we have some awesome, awesome scores. Most importantly, thank you for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, that tells me that you want to get better. So I appreciate that. I think that's it. All right, guys, thanks.